Good day, my happy crumpin' wargamers. Today, I'm going to talk to you about probably my favorite models in the game. There might be a few others that can compete here, but these things are awesome. So we're going to talk about Squigs and the Snagga boys. Before we jump right into it, please, if you haven't, consider liking, subscribing, and sharing this video with all of your friends. It really does help the channel quite a bit. So you and all your support is greatly appreciated. Love you very much. Let's move right on into the game. We're going to start into why do we love these beast snaggas and these squig units in the orcs? Because they are strong. They hit like trucks. They're very, very fast. They can kill everything. They have got a lot of utility to them, and they are dope. Some of the coolest models, I think, in the entire freaking game. So, units we're going to go through. We're going to talk about our beast boss on Squiggosaur, our knob on smasha squig, squig hog boys, kill rig, bomb squigs, and the beast snaggas. We're going to talk about how to use them and what they actually do on the tabletop if you're going to be facing them. And I'll be demonstrating on a TTS view how they actually get utilized a little bit, okay? So the very first thing I want to talk about is the bomb squig. The bomb squig is the man. This little guy, he's going to be 5 points, and he can be put on Squig Hog Boys. So every 3 mana Squig Hog Boys will have 1. If you see a 6 mana Squig Hog Boys, which you probably won't, they could have 2. Every Tank Busters unit is going to be running 2 of them. 10 mana Commandos will be running 1 of them. So you can see these squig bombs spammed across an army, and they're really dang cool because they have a really unique rule that doesn't exist anywhere else in the game. So basically, if you are within 12 inches of a unit that has a squig bomb, they can release it in the shooting phase. Now, the only caveat here is that the unit has to be eligible to actually shoot. So if they're engaged in melee, they have to have pistols in order to be able to launch a squig into or out of melee. If they are if they're going to advance, they have to have an assault weapon so that they can then launch the squig. So a 10 mana unit of commandos that doesn't have a Burna or a Scorcha or any assault weapons, if they advance, they can't shoot the squig. So that is a little bit of a trick there. But what the squig does is if it's within 12 inches, it will ignore lookout, sir. It will ignore line of sight. It will ignore absolutely everything. And on a 3-up, you'll take D3 mortal wounds. This goes to a 2-up against vehicles. So this is actually really dang powerful for helping to get those last extra few wounds off of vehicles or for sniping those super troublesome Deathwing apothecaries who keep resurrecting those darn Terminators. So these things are awesome. We love them, and it's not the most difficult thing to spam them if you want to spam them. Conceivably, you could get 10 to 12 of these in an army. Now, we're going to talk about probably my favorite model in the entire game. And if you guys know me, I am an absolute maxi of this guy. This is the beast boss on Squiggosaur. He is the biggest crumpa. I think he crumps harder than Gaz, Coolmaker, or Thraka himself. I know that's heresy. It is what it is. So this guy, his normal attack strength is going to be 6, which is a little bit low. But we're going to boost him up. We're going to just go ahead and say he's in the goths right now. Which means that when he's going to be at strength 7, and it means that when he charges or heroically intervenes, he'll be up to strength 8, which is a really important breaking point. Now, so he's going to have 5 attacks base with his beast choppa, he'll have 5 attacks base with his beast choppa, plus 1 because it's a beast choppa, so it takes him to 6, plus 1 for having the Wah, so it takes him to a 7. And if you give him one of the relics that is basically auto-include on him, called the Beast Side Mantle, it'll take him to 8. So he'll have 8 attacks with his Beast Choppa, which will be Strength 8, AP 2, Damage 2 in the turn when he charges during the Wah, which is really not bad at all. That's quite solid. However, he gets a bonus 3 attacks with his Squiggosaur's Jaws. These things are going to be Strength 7. Now, interestingly enough, for Goths Orcs, their ability that makes them charge, that gives them +1 strength when they charge or heroically intervene, actually adds 1 to the strength of the weapons, not the unit's profile. So even though the Squiggosaur says any bonus strength to the model wouldn't benefit the Squig, so the Squig never gets that bonus strength from the Wah, it does get the bonus strength from Goths. So in Goths, you can get the Squig up to strength 8, which is cool. And then it's going to be at AP 3, damage 3. It's got 3 attacks, and if it's going to be wounding you on a roll of a 6, it just turns into 6 mortal wounds, and it's done, which is so freaking good. Now, let's talk about some of the relics this guy can take and the warlord traits, because this is where he really starts to shine. Oh, did I forget to mention that he is movement 10, 7 wounds, movement 10, toughness of 7, 9 wounds, and -1 damage. Now, what does that mean? The 9 wounds means he can be lookout surd. This guy is a monster, and well, he's not a monster. He's actually cavalry, but yeah, spiritually he's a monster. And this guy can be look out, sir, because he's only 9 wounds, which is so freaking powerful. All right, so the main combinations that people will take on him, my personal favorite is going to be the Brutal But Cunning and the Beast-Hide Mantle. Beast-Hide Mantle is what we just spoke about. It gives him an extra attack, and it gives him a 5-up Feel No Pain. A 5-up Feel No Pain on this guy is freaking legend, because now suddenly he's got 9 wounds, toughness 7, -1 damage, 5-up invuln, 5-up Feel No Pain. It gets very hard to kill this man. He is a total beast, as is denoted in his name. Then you give him Brutal But Cunning, which, if you guys are familiar with the old competitive edge that Dark Eldar used to have access to, basically what happens is every single time he makes an attack that does not reach, or every hit that he makes that does not reach the damage roll, he gets to recycle. So it's conceivable that this guy gets to try to make 15, 16, 17 attacks at you. I'm going to tell you a story when I go over his stratagems in just a moment that's going to blow your freaking mind. So then we have Proper Killy and the Beast-Hide Mantle. This is another little blend that works really, really, really well. So Beast-Hide Mantle gives him +1 attack, and then the Proper Killy is going to give him an extra attack, and it's going to give him an extra AP, which is super powerful, because now suddenly in the WA phase, he's going to have 9 attacks at Strength 8, AP 3, Damage 2, which is really critical when you're going into things like Terminators with Storm Shields, right? That AP 3 really freaking matters. And then his Squig is going to be at AP 4, Damage 3, which is awesome. And so that's a great combo. I have used it, and I like it. Then there's another combo that people like. It's called the Art as Nails and Beast-Hide Mantle combo. Art as Nails is going to make him -1 to wound, and the Beast-Hide Mantle, once again, gives him that 5-up Feel No Pain and the extra attack. This makes the guy, honestly, like, depressing to try to kill, because suddenly he's T7, -1 to wound, 9 wounds, 4-up armor, 5-up invuln, 5-up Feel No Pain, -1 damage. At that point, it's hard to kill him. He's not, like, he's probably just not going to die unless your opponent dedicates all their things into killing him. Then you could make him Might Makes Right and Ed Wappa's Kill Choppa. Might Makes Right is the +1 strength, +1 attack warlord trait, which, is cool because he likes extra attacks. He likes the extra strength because his strength is a little on the low side without the wall on the charge. And then the Ed Wappa's Kill Choppa makes him pretty killy in melee because it's going to multiply his strength times 2, give him AP 3, damage 2, and it's also going to give him 6s to wound, cause an extra mortal. So that makes him quite killy. But that build, I think, is best in non-Goths, because you're going to take him as Brutal But Cunning or Beast-Hide Mantle, unless you're taking that as like a war boss, and the war boss is going to be Brutal But Cunning and the Kill a Claw. So instead, you would get him out as Proper Killy Beast-Hide Mantle. That's just better. But if you're doing a non-Goths where you don't have access to Proper Killy, you might do the Might Makes Right and Wappa's Kill Choppa. Now, the thing is, this guy really synergizes well with all your Snagga units, which we're going to be covering, because he makes +1 to hit to all Snagga characters and core, which is all of the Snaggas, which is really, really important. By the way, that applies to him. So he has weapon skill of 2-up. So even if he's -1 to hit, he's still on a 2-up because he's +1 to hit. Pretty freaking awesome. Now, what about his stratagem support? He's got some amazing stratagems. Sadly, they are all quite expensive. He has a stratagem for +2 damage to Titanic units. This makes his normal Beast Choppa damage 4, and it makes his Squig damage 5 against normal Titanic units. I have done this where I have charged this guy into a knight, and I have dealt 52 damage with him on the charge. And here's the way it worked, okay? He was Brutal But Cunning, and he had the Beast-Hide Mantle. So he had 8 attacks on the charge because it was in the wall. So he smacks into this knight. I spent 1 CP to make him +1 to wound. So now he's winning him on 3s instead of 4s, which is pretty important. And he was within 6 inches of Gaz's reroll aura. So now suddenly he gets to reroll everything. Oh, I forgot one really important stratagem. Let me type that in here too. Then I spent 2 CP. This was a 5 CP play. It's not going to come up very often, but it was just marvelous. I have to share the story with you. I spent 2 CP to make him explode on 5s instead of 6s. He's a Goth, so normally explode on 6s. So what I did is I spent an additional 2 CP to make him +2 damage. So that's 5 CP there. So 8 attacks. I hit with, I think, 6 of them, and I made like three 5s and 1 6, so 4 had already exploded. Then I just rerolled all the misses. So I ended up hitting this guy, 8 base attacks, hit him with everything, and I rolled 5 5-ups, which gave me 5 additional attacks. So we had 13 attacks that went through. which is pretty freaking awesome. Then those all wounded on 3s. I may have dropped 1 or 2. Didn't matter because they just went recycled to get done through again. And then on the Squig came through, and I rolled 2 5s and a 6. So I got 3 explosions. So that was 6 attacks that went through with a Squig, which then ended up dealing, it was something like 20 damage just out of that because they were 5 damage each. So he dealt 52 damage on the charge against a knight. It was so glorious. And he still has access to fight undeath stratagems. This guy's awesome. He's my favorite. Yeah, he's just a legend. So that's him. Let's talk about the Knob and Smash Squig. This guy is freaking cool. He's cheap. He's only 65 points. Now, unlike the beast boss on Squigosaur, he's easy to kill. He only has 5 wounds. He's T6. He's got a 4-up armor and a 6-up invuln for being a beast snagga. But you can take him without taking an HQ slot, because if you take Squighog Boys, he's force organization free, which is very, very cool. Now, the unique thing about this guy is he gives you charge phase damage, which is amazing for dealing with those pesky phase locked characters. You got Abaddon, you've got your Satan. It's awesome for running through like big monsters that you're not sure you can kill, but they only have 2 or 3 wounds left. It's fantastic because you can deal those 2 or 3 on the charge. He also has the coolest stratagem, or one of the coolest stratagems in the game, where if he is taken out of engagement range based off of his charge, so let's say he charges a MSU unit of Sisters of Battle, like happened the other day, and he kills 2 of them on the charge, and your opponent takes the 2 out of engagement range, well, suddenly you can spend 1 CP and charge again. Now, I had told my opponent this, but he actually had no option, but he had to take those 2 out of engagement range. So for 1 CP, he got to charge again and do the mortal wounds again. It was so great. So there's amazing stratagem support for him, and then he's got a few different categories that of warlord traits and stuff, kind of like what we just spoke about. You can brutal but cut him and Adwapas kill chop him. That just makes him hit really, really hard. You can proper kill him and Adwapas kill chop him. Give him an extra attack, make him deal a lot of mortal wounds, hit hard. People can do whatever they want with this. I think right now I'm probably running him just bare bones, just with the Adwapas kill choppa. Although I am considering giving him one of the beast snagga warlord traits, which we don't talk about very often, called the Big Boss Killa. What this does is if he's engaged against a monster or vehicle, he's going to be at +2 attacks and +1 to wound. You give him that with Adwapas Kill Choppa, he can really put some serious earning on a lot of vehicles and monsters. But it is a heavy CP investment for a basically very cheap model. So, I don't know, you may not want to, but it's super good. He's got a lot of utility. I love him. He could really screw up your opponent's game plans with those charge phase damage. Then we have the Squiggoth Boys. These guys can take 2 bomb Squigs and a 6-man, or 1 if it's less than 6. Typically, I run these in 3s. Some people like them in 4s. You generally don't see them higher than in 4-mans because they become very hard to move because the bases are kind of wonky, and they're cavalry, so they can't charge through terrain and stuff. Now, they are about the highest points per model damage dealers in the entire codex. So what that means is the amount of points you spent on that model deals more damage per point spent than basically anything else in the entire codex. They have really bad leadership, so they have leadership 6. So if one dies, then the others can run. But they hit like an absolute truck in melee. So they're going to have 3 strength 6 attacks at AP 2 damage 2 in melee. On the wall, obviously that goes to 4, and it goes to strength 7. Or actually strength 8 if you're Goths, because Goths are going to be +1 to strength as well, which is real nice. Then they're going to each have 2 strength 6 AP 1 damage 2 attacks. Goths, that'll be up to strength 7 when they charge. So that is a crazy amount of damage. And they have some paltry, they have 1 extra like attack where their aggression on the backfield can also stab them with a little spear, but the Gretchens suck. So these guys actually put out an amazing amount of damage when they get the charge. The problem is they're pretty fragile. They do have a toughness of 6, which is great. And they have 4-up armor and a 6-up invuln. 3 wounds each. Not hard to kill them. They do run 75 points, so you're going to spend the extra 5 points for the extra bomb Squig also, so it'll be an 80-point unit. I like these guys in strategic reserve because with a 10-inch movement as a cavalry, the likelihood of them getting across the table field is not the highest. Some people like to start them on the tabletop. I always take 1, maybe 2 units, and they start in strat reserve. It works best for me since strat reserve is free now. Yeah, in my last battle report, which should be up anytime now, the Wah phase, one of these guys killed 2 mortifiers on his own, which was freaking awesome. So these are Squiggoth Boys. They're dope. We love them. They hit smack really hard. I like them from strategic reserve because they still get to benefit from the Here We Go. So even out of strat reserve with a 9-inch charge, they have like a 57% chance of making the charge, which is pretty dang good. And it's really easy for them just to get killed if they're on the line. So I like them in strat reserve. Let's talk about the beast snaggas. These are the troop choices. I love these guys. I love these guys so much. Most people don't get excited about troops. I'm going to get excited about troops. Let me tell you why I'm excited about these troops. They have some amazing stratagem support. So for 1 CP, they can get an extra 3 inches to pylon and consolidate, which is conceivably a bonus 12 inches of movement in the fight phase, because you get a normal 3-inch, which turns the pylon into a 6-inch pylon and the consolidate into a 6-inch consolidate. So conceivably, they can get a bonus 12 inches of movement in the fight phase. They have access to the same +1 to wound stratagem as the beast boss on Squiggoth does. So these guys will be at strength 7 on the wall in the turn that they charge, because Goths will add them +1, the wall will give them +1. These guys strength 7, and they're just basic troops. For 1 CP, they can use the tank buster bomb stratagem, which is if they hit a vehicle, and these guys get +1 to hit vehicles. So if they're hitting on a 2-up, then it just causes 2d3 mortal wounds outright for 1 CP. That's awesome. So these guys have great stratagem support, and they're troops, which means they unlock bonus CP if you kill a character with Assassinate, or you get behind enemy lines with them, or you use Grind with them. And trust me, these guys can kill. They hit very hard in the wall turn. Check this math out. So they have 36 choppa attacks. That's 36 attacks, strength 7, AP 1, damage 1. Hitting on 2s if you go into a vehicle, 3 against anything else, or 2s if you're within range of your beast boss, right? Or a normal war boss for that matter. And then 4 snap attacks, which are going to be at strength 9, AP 2, damage 2. Holy crap, can they put out some damage. And they always have a 6-up invuln. Always have a 6-up invuln. These guys will crush an armature. They will absolutely annihilate an armature. And they can even be delivered through a kill rig missile, which we're about to talk about. But the beast snaggers are an amazing troop choice. I freaking love these guys. They're 100 points for 10 of them, worth every freaking point of it. The kill rig, the second coolest model in the game, only behind the beast boss on Squiggoth. Let's talk about this guy, because I love this guy. He has the potential for an insane threat range. This guy is going to move potentially 33 inches in his first turn if you want and charge him. Now, he's a character, which means, yes, I know he's a vehicle, but he's a character, which means he gets to advance and charge from the Wa, because the Wa applies to core and characters. Holy crap. You can give him a 15-point upgrade, which you will always give him, called the Squig High Tires. He's going to get +1 to move, and he's going to get +2 to his advances. So he's going to move 13 inches. If you advance, say you roll a 6, now suddenly he gets to move an extra 8 inches. So he moves 21 inches just off of a 6 to advance. And if you roll a 1, he's still moving 16 inches. So he's very, very fast. And then he's a vehicle, which means he can use the orc-specific stratagem for ram and speed for 2 CP, which means he can charge on 3d6. It's not drop the lowest, it's 3d6. So you can conceivably charge an extra 18 inches off of that. Of course, you still have to be within 12 inches to declare the charge, but the point is, holy crap. Then he's a psyker, so he's going to put out a crazy amount of mortal wound output. His base is a knight's base, so for the specific spell Frazzle, what that does is every enemy unit who's within 9 inches of the model, they're going to take D3 mortal wounds on a 4-up. Conceivably, you can get this guy, because his base is so large, to be within like 9 enemy units at once. So you can roll a 4-up on 9 enemy units, and each one of them will take D3 mortal wounds. Wow, he's a mortal wound bomb. He is a mortal wound machine. So he does all that multi-phase damage, right? So he has Psychic, where he can do damage. He has actually some pretty decent shooting, because his Whir Tower will auto-hit you, and it's Strength 9, AP 3, damage D6. He's got some out-of-line-of-sight shooting if you don't want to advance him. And he has also got like another random heavy weapon shot that will also hit if you also don't want to advance him. So he's got some reasonable shooting. He's probably one of the only sources of reasonable shooting in the Orc Codex right now. And then his melee crushes. He's got 6 attacks, 7 in the wall, that are going to be at like strength 10, AP 2, damage 2. And remember, he's a Goth, so he still explodes on 6s. And then he's got a bonus 4 attacks that are going to be going roughly strength 8, AP 2, damage 3. And then he's got a bonus 4 attacks that's going to be strength 5, AP 1, damage 1. Wow, this guy smacks. He smacks, he smacks, he smacks. So then we're going to have delivery of strong troops, right? Because he is a freaking transport. So he's going to be delivering your beast snagga boys into the enemy's lines. Because sure, he'll die after he charges and does his things. But then the boys are just going to pop out into, and they're going to steal an objective because they're OBSEC, or they're going to score you behind enemy lines. And don't forget, when you use Ramen Speed, you can deal charge phase damage. So he is a 4 damage phase model, which does not exist in the game. He's only 205 points when you give him the Squig High Tire upgrade. This guy is a legend. Lastly, even though he's huge and it's almost impossible to hide him, he can be strat reserved if you can't hide him. Now, he is hard to maneuver, but he moves so much, it kind of makes up for it. So this guy scores crazy amounts in secondaries when you combine the fact that he can do Psychic, he can kill most things, and he can also deliver OBSEC troops wherever they need to go. Then I got a bonus, one of the cooler models in the game, but he just kind of sucks. This is the Squiggoth. He's terrible, but he's awesome. He's got one really interesting transport rule. It's called the Howdah. So basically what happens is if you're embarked inside of him and he moves, you don't count as moving. So it's great for heavy weapon teams. If he's engaged in close combat, you can shoot wherever you want because you don't count as being in engagement. He's awesome, but he sucks. He's got no invuln. He's got pretty crappy melee. He's slow. But he does weirdly have the best leadership in the entire codex. It's a fun way to run your Ludas, your tank buses, your flash kits. Remember, even though they don't count as moving, they still count as being embarked. So still can't use this shoot twice stratagem on the flash kits with him. Then you've got the gargantuan version of the Squiggoth, who's the same thing. He's just way more expensive and sucks a lot more. Now I'm going to do a quick transition to the TTS view just so you guys can see how to use some of these units. And we're live. Woo! Nice. That was a beautiful transition if I say so myself. All right, so just check out this deployment. These vents here are dense cover and they're light cover, but they're not difficult. Then all the buildings are they're buildings, so they block movement and stuff. So look at the way I've gotten this deployed, just to show you how fast these guys can go. This beast boss on Squiggosaur, he is going to be lookout sirred by our Squighog boys, and so is my Knob and Smasha Squig. So they cannot be shot right now. They just can't be shot. It's pretty dope. I have these Squighog boys behind the building because they would get annihilated if they were shot. Then I have the kill rig. He's actually hidden right here because he's only 16 wounds. So you can hide him with obscuring ruins. So there's really no lines that you can actually shoot him with from the enemy's deployment zone, which is pretty dang awesome. Basically no way to actually get to him. So let me show you how fast this guy can move. Let's say that we have declared the WA. Let's just say we have declared a WA and we are going to get into the enemy's deployment zone. Let me just load in some enemy models here, so we can see just how do we get to them. So I'm going to put this Land Raider down right here, and that'll be our target. Okay. So we're Wing. We're going to charge. I'm going to roll my dice for my advance on my kill rig. All right. So he rolled a 2. So right now he's got 13 inches plus 2 makes him 15 plus 2. So he's got, because of the Squig tires. So he's going to move 17 inches. So we're going to move him out. That's 3.5. And then that's 3.5 again. And then we're just going to move him straight forward. So that was 7 inches. So then we got 10 inches to move him. So with a bad advance, he's not going to be able to make it to the enemy units if you hide him. But if you don't hide him and you just say YOLO, what you do is you place him right here on the line. Then this guy's going to move 17 inches directly forward. And he's got an 8-inch charge. Now remember, orcs have a re-rollable charge. So an 8-inch charge is actually pretty reliable. Aha! But can we make it even more reliable? And remember, this is off of a 2-inch advance. If I had advanced him with a 6, he would have gone 21 inches, which would have had him right about here, which is silly. So now we're going to spend 2 CP and we're going to Ramen Speed this guy. Boom! Suddenly he's going to charge 15 inches. Yep. So he's going to charge like this. That's 6 inches. And then we'll just rotate him for 3 inches. Call that 4. So we'll call that 10 inches. We still have 5 inches more of movement here. So then we could put him 4 inches here. Then we can put him 1 inch this way. And then we can pile in for 3 inches. And we'll just rotate him like this. And then 1 more inch this way. So look how far we move this guy in 1 turn off of a 2-inch advance. That is so freaking powerful. Now, over here, the Beast Boss and Squiggosaur, he can also roll his advance, right? So he's going to go 16 inches. And now suddenly this guy, if we say had a Forge Fiend here, is very liable just to make his charge. He's got an 8-inch re-rollable as an orc. Let's try it. So the 5 doesn't make it. and the 4 doesn't make it. So he would be out on his own, which is why you would obviously never move your character first, because you would always advance your squig boys to see how far they would move. And so they'll move 14 inches. So they'll go, let me just put a little movement on this guy. 3 inches there. 5 inches. And then we'll go 9 inches. So if we really wanted to be safe with our beast boss, we just leave him right here, and now he's lookout certain, and he can't be messed with. Which is why, by the way, I don't like squig boys starting on the table, because they just don't move fast enough. So I like squig boys coming in off the strategic reserve later on in the game, where they can just come in like right here, 12 inches or 9 inches away from the Forge Fiend, and they can try to make their charge then. That's the way I like to run them. But yeah, man, that's how fast these guys are. They move seriously fast. A Beast Boss and Squigster can fairly reliably get a charge on the first turn. Well, maybe not super reliably, but the kill rig is going to be 100%. And this is turn 1, guys, and you're never going to try to do a turn 1. On a turn, normally what you would do is you would just move the Beast Boss and Squigster like right here, do the knob on smash the Squig right here, keep the Squig boys, or I don't know, anything else right here so that they're still lookout surd. And it's impossible to shoot them. So then next turn, when it's time for the Wah, they would then do their whatever charge and easily get in. So that's how easy it is to move these guys. This kill rig is so fast. One last thing, and then I'll let you go. If you put this guy in Evil Suns, he gets an additional +4 to his movement. +1 to his advance, +1 to his charge, and then the relic you're going to give him is going to give him an additional +2. So he moves 4 inches faster in Evil Suns. It's ludicrous. So these are the Beast Snagga units, guys. They will kill everything. We freaking love them. And that is it. They hit like freaking trucks. They move crazy fast. They all have invulns, unlike the rest of our orcs, even outside of the wall. And they have a lot of freaking utility. I encourage you to go play with your Beast Snagga units. Love them. Enjoy them. Have a great time. And what will happen is next time we see you on Happy Crumpin' Wargaming, we'll go over some more super duper cool stuff. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like, subscribe, and comment if you have any questions, concerns, or recommendations for future videos. And I will see y'all next time. Bye-bye.